What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're here for episode number 25 of the My Team journey, possibly the last episode before F1 22 comes out next week. I'm not sure how many more videos I can get up, but we'll talk about that later. We're here for the Spanish Grand Prix, possibly the last episode, as I said, before F1 22 comes out. The reason why I say that is because I pre-ordered the Champions Edition of F1 22, and that actually comes out a few days earlier on the 28th, which is a Tuesday, and that's the day I usually have footy training over in Australia. I'll talk a bit about that a little later on. We move on to the Spanish Grand Prix, and yet another upgrade that failed. What was that? Was that a fuel efficiency upgrade? We'll see in just a second. Right, as Pierre gives us the bad news, and the powertrain department is where we need to go to. Fuel flow regulator. So that was fuel efficiency. I'm telling you guys, the amount of upgrades that are not getting on the car just makes us fall behind in the power and the development race. And as you can see right there, we are literally miles away from Williams and Alfa Romeo, and there is absolutely no chance that we are going to get any closer to them for a little while yet. The only way that's going to happen is we literally need every upgrade to be on the car on that particular weekend. But in order for that to happen, they need to stop failing, honestly. If these upgrades keep failing, it's out of our hands.
Okay, bear with us a few minutes. We're losing hydraulic pressure. There's a leak somewhere in the system. Sit tight for a bit.
Well, that's lovely. Some sort of fault during practice. Doesn't matter too much. It's only practice. It'd be catastrophic if it was in the race. So with that problem sorted, well, we've got another problem as we spin before we've even started our practice program, which was the race run. Yeah, just got up on the curb. Bit of a lazy spin. But that didn't affect us too much. We got through all the practice programs all fairly cleanly. P9 at the end of practice and P19 for Mick. Both of us on softs. However, I did have the difficulty lower, and I could be around where Mickey is, probably 18th, 19th. Realistically, we should be beating both Hasses this weekend. We're going to need somewhat of a miracle to get us anywhere near in front of the Williams and AlphaTauri, because they're miles ahead of us on the performance index, and only strategy and somehow wicked pace is going to get us in front of those guys come the end of the race. But that's to see what happens later on in the video. Getting all the R&D points, R&D discounts. I'm not sure if it really matters at this stage, because we're just almost saving resource points and we're basically wasting them on upgrades that fail, which again doesn't help. But that's it for now. Let's go to qualifying and see where we end up at the end. So here we go for qualifying then. Thankfully, there is no rain involved in this session if you go back to Portugal, which was the last episode. So getting onto the weekend now, proper, getting into Q1. And honestly, I feel like it doesn't really matter what happens. We put in a good lap and it's still, last place or only in front of, literally only just in front of the Haas, but miles away from the Williams, which is something that I can't really control about. So this first lap was that, a 17 dead, cool down lap, another flyer, wasn't really improving. So we'll come in at the end of this lap, put on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. We've got 4 minutes to do so. We have plenty of time, and we'll be able to have one last push lap in clear air. Of course, I always like to have my runs in clear air, so there's no dirty air involved during the lap. Mick P19, I kind of expected that, but I'm also expecting to be in front of Nicholas Latifi at the end. So we've got 6/10 to Mick. That first lap, it felt okay, but I always know towards the end, when the track gets more grippier, there is always more time to find. So with 3 minutes to go, we're going out now. we're going to let one of the cars behind us through, which is one of the Aston Martins. As we try to do that, it is Lance Stroll, but he is not going through. We literally have to stop almost and make sure that he literally goes off into the distance, and that just makes our tyres a whole lot cooler. That is not what I wanted. We got them back up to temperature just in time to start our final flying lap through turns 1 and 2. That's almost the line I like to take, and I like to take a wide entry into turn 3 so I can try and carry more speed, but that does hurt the front and the rear or the left side tyres, because you're using and taking the energy out of the tyres as you do so through the fast corners. So yeah, we're only up by 10. That was an ugly moment coming out of turn 11. That just cost us a little bit of time, but however, the flowing run, we did manage to find a bit more time through the last sequence of corners now. It felt like a good lap. It was definitely better than the first flying lap. It's a 6/10 improvement, which would have had us on par with Mick, but I think Mick did improve. He got to P17 in front of both Williams, and we end up P20. So that just almost shows how bad of a car we have compared to those cars. But Mick is somehow able to get his car in front of the Williams. Maybe he's got more downforce than what I do, maybe. Because I am running a 910 wings, a 10-9 wing setup, I should say. So the front is a bit more pointier, but the rear feels stable. So yeah, I'm not sure how that happens, but let's just see what we can make up in the race.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya then, a high-speed 2.89-mile circuit which demands an efficient downforce package and bravery on the part of the driver, especially through the blind right of turn 9, which we might just see taken flat this weekend. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Perez, Sainz, Gasly, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, Tsunoda, Vettel, George Russell and Giovinazzi, Stroll, Mick Schumacher, Charles Leclerc and Callum Ilott, Schwartzman, Skip, Latifi and Nikita Mazepin.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Thank you, Jeff. No grid penalties, unfortunately, which could bolt us further up the grid, but that doesn't matter. It makes the challenge that much harder. And I love a challenge, in case you guys haven't seen before. Anyway, so on the grid, we're going to take a bit of fuel out, not too much. We're going to have just enough for the start. That's the setup we're running with. I was a little hesitant to go 11-9 wings, but we're sticking with 10-9 as we're getting ready. 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix, and we are underway. Here we go. Let's see if we can get a good start. I did quickly go up to second. I probably could have just stayed, used all the revs, and that gets us behind both the Haas drivers. We're just going to coast and dive up the inside of both of them, and can we get one or both of them? We are getting shoved out of the way by Nikita Mazepin. Not the first time that's happened in this career mode journey. Trying to stay with Latifi now. We're going to have a look into turn number 4. We do. He gives us no space. We're literally on the grass as we do that, and Nikki gets a little sideways. We get him, and also Robert Schwartzman. Thankfully, he had the awareness and the space, or he gave us enough space, but in doing so, he lost out to Latifi as well. Ilott and Leclerc up next. Leclerc a fair way down, actually. I don't know if he got grid penalties or not, but so we move on and we gain all the positions that we lost from back up to P19.
Some information on Russell. They have some kind of mechanical problem.
Oh dear, that doesn't look good for George's race. Only lap 2, and already he's got a problem. That's something that you don't often see in real life, but it can happen unexpectedly. DRS not quite opened yet. We're close enough to have a look at Callum Island, but we nearly rear-end Leclerc, and I think, did he get us back? We were sideways off of turn 10, but I think we just about hold on. I don't know if we made contact or not, but it would be amazing if we did. I just had a quick look at the start for Mig. He was 3 wide with both Alphas, and he gets overtaken around the outside by Giovinazzi, sorry. And one of the McLarens and Mercedes were going side by side. It's Lando Norris. He goes from 3rd to 1st at the start of the race. So brilliant overtaking from Lando Norris. He is a force to be reckoned with in Season 2, and he is definitely a championship contender in Season 2, and he could be one of the hardest cars to pass in this season. A car that is not going to be too hard to pass is Charles Leclerc. We're rubbing with Lance Stroll as well, and we're rubbing with our front wing. I'm thinking that might have some damage on us. Yeah, look at the bollard that was just stuck on the front wing as well. How does Leclerc get away with no damage at all? We're going to have a look at our rear or front wing now. Little contact there, but a lot of contact. You look at all those shark bites on our front wing. So I think we're gonna hold stations for now and just see if we can sort of stay with Stroll. Now George is in front. I don't know if he's still got those issues or whether they may have resolved itself. But we move on to lap 5. He's in P18. I can't believe I didn't even get us overtaking him, but he still has those issues. So whatever the issues are at the moment, it's affecting his straight line speed, I'd have to say, and he's just not able to keep anyone that's behind him now. And now he's behind Callum Islet. So almost like the first Spanish Grand Prix last year, we're able to stay with Stroll for a reasonable amount of time, but the question is, how long is that going to be? As lap 7 now, other people are starting to make their stops. For those that are penalised, Stroll spun! He spun right in front of us at turn number 1, and we somehow get away with that. Leclerc, I thought he did, but no, he's behind the 2 Williams. Let's see what happened to Stroll. He's just lost it on the curve, and I think he's collected Leclerc as well, rear on rear, and that's one of the McLarens that has come in. What a disaster this has turned into, not just for Stroll, but one of the McLarens and Charles Leclerc. Just as Stroll's rear came back onto the track, there is nothing Leclerc could have done, and that's an M-plate that's going right in front of us. This is on board with Daniel Ricciardo, who just come out of the pits, and thankfully he doesn't collect Lance in the process. But unlucky for Leclerc to be taken out like that. Good evasive action from that Williams and the Alfa Romeo were on board. I'm pretty sure that's George who were on board with. Now, someone lost their M plate. I just wanted to go back and see who it was. It's not Stroll. It's not Leclerc, because that was rear on rear. I've got a feeling it might be one of the Williams. It's not Ricciardo, because he stopped just in time before he made contact. So I've got a feeling it's probably one of the Williams or whatever. So this is on board with one of the Williams. He's just entered turn 1 behind Ricciardo. He doesn't know what's going on behind him, and he's lost his left front end plate. Who is that Williams driver that has lost it? It is Callum Islet. He's had a ripper season so far, and the safety car is now deployed because there are too many stopped vehicles on the track. When you have too many stopped vehicles on the track, the full course safety car is gonna be deployed. This could be a good opportunity to save some fuel, because I will do a spoiler alert. Throughout the race, fuel burn has been a bit of an issue, so I could have the opportunity to save fuel, or I could try and keep the fuel load to a minimum, because I do want to keep the car as light as possible. Lap 9 now. Jeff offered me a strategy change. I chose not to go with that, and we're going to go back underway for green flag racing. Not a great restart coming out of turn 15, the penultimate corner, and now Sergio Perez, who did make a pit stop behind under that safety car or a little earlier, is now right behind us. He's got much fresher grip, much fresher tyres, and he easily sailed through before the braking zone of turn 1. Now Bottas, who was also in front of us, is going to be harassing Mick as well. Mick goes defensive, I can see, and and he's going to go right around the outside of Mick at turn number 4. Faster car, much more grip to a guy that started the race on medium compound tyres that is now 10 laps old. Perez trying to do the same thing at turn number 10. He doesn't quite get the grip or the traction to do so. Now we've let the door open for Pierre Gasly. I wasn't intending to, but look at Gasly with that grip that he's got on those medium compound tyres. He is another one that stopped during that safety car or whenever. Same here with Lewis Hamilton. We're just going to get eaten up by these faster cars. I really don't want to be fighting them too much. Look at this. We're using our aeros, and us and Hamilton, similar straight line speed. Almost a drag race. I reckon Lewis didn't have or didn't even use his battery because I thought he was going to get past that easily. Now Fernando doing almost the same thing. And again, similar straight line speed comparisons happening here right now. Yeah, I reckon Fernando and Lewis thought they were going to clear me much easier, but it turns out I was using a bit more of our battery. Now we're going to be maybe having a look at me. We're going to take a wide line into turn 6. We're going to use a bit of our tyres. They're going to be screaming by this point, and we're going to hopefully have a look at me. There's an overlap. We're going to try and give each other enough space. We do, and I think we're going to do so. We're going to move to the outside, and Mick has hit us in on the entry to turn number 5. I don't know what exactly happened. Let's have a look. He's literally on the apex. I did say that I was about to move to the outside, but I don't think Mick realised that we were there. So he's on the apex. He's moving on. He's just following the normal racing line, but I don't think he realised that I was literally right there. I'm not too sure how well that's going to go down in the debrief tonight, but look, this is on board with Mick. As I literally said about that point, I was going to move to the outside, but I don't think Mick realised too much that that I was there at that point. So nothing much that could have been done to avoid that, but I'm sure we'll talk about it, but we'll move on. Probably just as fine. Pit stop window now, lap 15. We're actually going to be coming in at the end of this lap. I'm not too sure what Mick's strategy is going to be. We dive from him into turn number 1, but we've overshot the marker. But now we're going to have to try and let him back through because that's what I want to do. We actually didn't even get an off-track illegal overtake warning by the FIA. Now Robert Schwarzman is looking us up the inside of turn 4, but I think we're going to do just enough to hold stations for now, and now we've let Mick through. Do we want the option to re-overtake him again, or are we just going to stay behind and maybe do an undercut next time by? Or no, we're going to go for a move on Mick now. Nice, enough space for the both of us, and we get through without any contact this time. So I think we will both give each other a thumbs up for that, and we will move on pretty quickly. We're actually going to come in now at the end of this lap, in fact right now, and we're going to go into the hard compound tyres. Now I did set repair front wing option to yes, and I wanted to see if it was going to happen, and no was the answer. Nice 1.9 seconds stop though, but to be honest, even with that many shark bites on the car actually didn't feel too bad driving around, especially in some of the high speed sections, in turn 3 being one of them, and turn 9. The car actually didn't feel too bad. Now I think other cars are going to start to make their stop soon. In fact, Mick actually came in the lap after us. And what tyres is he going on to? He's going on to the hard compound tyres. So he's on the right strategies. He's doing a lot of things right, Mick, since his debut. What is the rejoin going to look like? There we are. And there's Mick coming out of the pit lane. And so I think we've definitely gained a bit more time on Mick than when we passed him. But now we've got we're in a reasonable position now. I don't know if any other cars ahead needed to make a second stop. I would imagine those that started on softs would have to make another stop. It just depends if we're going to be in front of them or not. Ricardo, who's had a bit of a shocker, is still right behind us. We're in 13th at the moment, but we're going to play it smart. We're not going to fight with him at all, and we're going to let him through right now on lap number 21. There's no point in fighting Ricardo because he's only going to get past us anyway. So I think we made the right call. But now Robert is now having a look at us. We defend ever so much. But now he's gonna be right up our gearbox, all the way down the straight. We defend almost instantly. And we are using our ERS. We're just going to hold the inside line because I just want to hold the inside line for turn 1. Ricardo's already out of DRS range. We get up the inside, a little bit of oversteer, and it's wheel on wheel with Robert, and he is now behind George Russell, who is now behind our teammate, who is now behind us. This is on board with just that little bit of oversteer, just that little snap. As we got up onto the curb, there's nothing we could have done to avoid that. There's nothing we could have done. Now we've got both cars in a good position. We're getting our cars in really good positions, even though we are miles behind Williams and Alfa Romeo on the performance index. But somehow we're able to get our cars in a good position. So with 10 laps to go, 14th and 15th is definitely going to be a maximum for us, unless something literally dramatic happens. If there's another safety car or a VSC comes out, I don't know if I want to be making a pit stop under a virtual safety car. Now I'm almost tempted to let Mick pass so I can defend the train of cars behind, but now we've got Mick, George, and the 2 Williams behind us. That forms a DRS train. Of course, in a DRS train, it is a lot harder to overtake. So we're going to leave this train for now and see what happens in the next 10 laps or so. If we can hold this DRS train, if we can just get both cars to the end of the race, that would actually be a good result. We're able to do so for now. There was a couple of times where I thought Mick was going to be right up my ass on a couple of occasions heading into turn 1. But so let's say the gap would be 4/10 out of the last turn, and us using our ERS, he wasn't quite able to get close enough. So we were just able to just hold stations for now, and just keep him. Keep him behind and keep him ahead of George. More importantly, this is the moment where I thought I might be under the pump, so I'm just moving to the inside line just to break the ERS. I'm looking behind, getting close to turn 1, but Mick doesn't quite get close enough. We're able to brake at the normal braking zone at turn 1, and that actually happened a couple of times where I thought, we're going to be under fire, and he might even have a look at us. But that didn't happen, so we're in a good spot now. There's a yellow flag behind us. Oh, do not tell me that was Mick that just spun. Here's a replay. He's behind us, and he's just dropped it. He drops it at turn 10. Oh man, we had both cars in such good positions. It was going to be 15th and 14th maximum for us today. Oh, that's gut-wrenching. Now George, whatever problems George had at the start of the race on lap 2, it looks like those problems have resolved itself. Now we've got an even bigger task to try and keep a faster car behind us. And even though we've got 2 laps to go, 2 laps does seem like an eternity. Fernando is out of the race. Fernando on his home track is out of the race. That slow-moving Alpine, there's no smoke, but there is something wrong with the car, and you can hear the crowd. They cannot believe what they're witnessing. Right, now we get through the yellow flag section. Okay, George wasn't quite close enough for a look into turn 1 anyway. Even if he could, he wouldn't be able to. Last lap now of the race. This race has almost flown by. George is now right up our... Oh, cheeky move back onto the racing line. We go toe-to-toe with George. We just about stay with the track limits, I think. I'm not too sure. But now George is up our inside at turn number 3. Lando Norris wins the Spanish Grand Prix. He's back in form. But George is going to be all over us. We know the AI are absolutely redonkulous on the last lap. So even this last lap is going to feel like an eternity. We take a sort of a middle line, but George has absolutely grip out of nowhere, and he's still harassing us towards turn 7. There's contact between us. Thankfully, no yellow flag. No one has spun. And we get through turn 9. This is probably George's last chance. He's going to have to absolutely send it into turn number 10. But he doesn't even attempt it. So now, I think we should hold on from here. We can almost go as slow as we want. But obviously, we need to go full throttle up to the line if we're going to keep 13th place, because Fernando retired. We were originally in 14th, but now because of Fernando retired, unfortunate for him, it is going to be 13th for us here at the Spanish Grand Prix. How many times we finished 13th? I don't care. Good result.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
Tell you what, those last few laps just made me a bit more stressful after mixed spun. Oh, a lot is going to be said in the debrief tonight, but I think we can all move on from it.
It was a tough race at times, but they've held on to take a great victory for McLaren today. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race from the McLaren team, and I'm really happy to see them there on the top step of the podium.
Well, Lando is back in business now, and I don't think he's taken the lead of the championship again, but he is certainly back in the championship fight after probably not the greatest couple of races from Imola and Portimao onwards. But for us, that finish was probably a bit more stressful than what it probably should have been. Mick only 18th, minute 17 behind Lando in the end. He would have been actually fairly close to being lapped at that point. I actually went back and looked at the minimap to see where he was compared with Lando, and I have to tell you, you can go back and look at yourselves if you want, and he wasn't very far from getting the blue flags. I'll tell you that much. So I reckon he's lucky to do a full 33 lap race without being lapped. Now we've got both cars in a good enough position, but the question is, how are we going to get both our cars into the points in a time of almost desperate need, with upgrades, of course. There's not a lot that can be said about this car and what needs to be done, unfortunately. But I think I can't say that the incident between us on when we went wheel to wheel. I'm sure we both would have had a chat about it. And yeah, we were giving each other a shake and hugged it out. Everything would have been all good there. Good bunch of cash in, and that 9.01 mil is enough to give us Spec 3 of the chassis department, and that is probably the biggest news that can come out of this weekend, because that's the department we need to upgrade for fabrication Spec 3, which we need the brake upgrades for, because that is one thing that we are kind of lacking in this car, some brake upgrades. So if we can start doing some brake upgrades, I'm almost aiming towards getting one on at Azerbaijan. I don't know if that department is fully upgraded yet at this point, because after the Spanish GP weekend, I did get straight onto spending the cash on the chassis department, which you'll see at the start of the next episode in Monaco. Guys, honestly, let me know, do you want to keep seeing the rest of this season 2 journey, or do you want me to have F1 22 as a more of a priority? Honestly, let me guys know. I want to know as soon as, because I am going to start making more F1 22 videos and going to continue to do so as soon as it's released. Now, with F1 22, what I will reveal is that I will do a first impressions video, so a live com video, and then it'll be straight into my team. Maybe 1 or 2 episodes on that, and then I'll do another first impressions video on F1 Live and whatever else. But that's all to deal with another time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.